All right, guys, we had to get the band back together. You might be listening to this on the Takecast airwaves with Davis Maddock. I'm Peter Overzet, and we are here, Davis, with our friend Patrick Laird. It's been what, almost a year? Over a year since we've done this?
I think longer. I think the last time we did this, I want to say maybe even the last time we did this was we did this same show last year because Pat told us that we drafted him a shitty fantasy team and that all his opinions were right, and that he knew to take Myles Gaskin, and we didn't. It was sitting right out there in the open, and we didn't listen.
Was that I think was that 2021 or 2022?
I feel like we did the Radical Markets book club. Was that?
That was the last one. That was the last one.
Yeah. So right. I think because we didn't do one at the end of last season because I ended the season on IR, and I forget if I told you. I was like, let's just wait till I figure out like where I'm at, and maybe we can announce like where.
That's right.
And then basically nothing happened, and I didn't sign with the Bucs until during training camp, and then after that, at that point, it was just too busy to set up anything during doing the move and all that.
It had to have been a long time ago because it was episode 199 of the Takecast, and this is going to be episode 296. So it was a while ago.
Dang! Congrats, consistent.
Yeah, and so you lived in Tampa for this whole season. I mean, that wasn't too big of a trek for you over from your Miami roots, though, right?
It actually worked out really well because I kept all my stuff in storage out in Miami. I moved out of my apartment after the season because I knew I was going to be free agent. They had said maybe they'd bring me back. So I was like, all right, I'll just put my stuff in storage. Then if I do move back, I can just move it out. And then looks like they signed a couple running backs in free agency, and they're like, it just wasn't going to work out. And so, then it just happened that the Bucs were interested, and I had all my stuff in storage. So like the bill on that wasn't too bad rather than moving it, all the way across the country to some other team. So it actually worked out really well, and basically just moved what I had in Miami all the way to Tampa and just set up basically like the same exact apartment setup that I had before.
So when I'm actually curious about this is not a neg. When your agent is going to these teams and they're like, hey, Patrick wants to play for you, is he advertising you largely as a core 4 special teamer, or is it about like the third down stuff? Like, I mean, the Dolphins had 5 running backs when you were on their team anyway, but you were still on the active game day roster for special team stuff. So I assume that had to be part of the pitch. It's
both, I think. I mean, the more you can do, the coaches and management always say that, like, the more you can do, the longer you'll stay in the league. And so I've shown that I can play on all core 4, can catch, can pass protect, can run the ball. So I think he does all that. The teams already have a ton of information themselves.
Sure.
So I think an agent, when you're coming out, I mean, my agent didn't do this, but like some agents will sell like how good of a relationship, they'll get you on a team and they can do all this, but really it comes down to the resume you built when you played. So my agent was awesome. His name's Colin Roberts, and he was super honest with me. He'd be like, yeah, this team's interested. So I guess like the timeline was like March, around mid-March, I became a free agent because Miami didn't tag me. They can do like the restricted free agent tag, and we didn't expect them to do that for me. So I became a free agent. And then usually in the first few weeks, all the big free agent signings take place. So guys that get those big multi-million-dollar deals and all that. Right. So those are the priorities early on. And then maybe then a guy like me might find a spot after that. But what we heard is, hey, we're going to see what we get in the draft. And then with the running back position, teams are always, not always, but a lot of the time they're going to say, hey, maybe we'll draft a guy late or pick up a undrafted free agent out of college. And it's just like, we're going to try that guy out. And those guys are obviously going to be cheaper. Not that I would be expensive because I'm still on minimum deals, but
is this like a supermodel thing or like a Hollywood actress thing where it's like, Laird, you're 26, like they want the younger model. They're trying to trade you in.
Yeah, we had one team say we're looking for some younger legs. I'm like, I'm still pretty young. So yeah, you'll just hear stuff like that, but then teams will always be like, yeah, we like him. We're interested, but we're just going to see what happens after the draft and who we sign. Then still heard some things like, hey, maybe we'll bring him out for a workout before camps, stuff like that. And then the Bucs actually flew me out for their rookie mini camp. You can have a couple of vets come. So I did like a vet tryout during rookie mini camp. And then they ended up signing, like they had told my agent they were planning or potentially going to sign me. But they ended up, I think this is like right around like Gronk retired and like another tight end left the team or something. So they signed a different tight end or a tight end instead of another running back. And then Gio ended up getting hurt during camp during one of the preseason games. So they flew me out and signed me during training camp. And then, so that was a tough spot to be in because I only had, 2 weeks to really, you can only do something.
Learn the playbook and
yeah, you can only do something in a rookie mini camp tryout. So, yeah, I did like kind of just show whatever value I could in like a little 2 week span, 2 or 3 week span, and ended up working out because they wanted to sign me to the practice squad. And so it ended up being a good spot to land. And like, having good conversation with Coach Bowles at the beginning of the season. He's just like, just stay ready. Running backs go down all the time. But luckily for the Bucs this past season, Lenny and Rashad stayed healthy.
Yeah, they didn't miss a game. Lenny didn't miss a game.
So, and funny enough, like I think Lenny he might have missed like 1 or 2 games, but that was the week when Gio came back. So it was like the timing for me.
I think you're right. If I'm remembering correctly,
like the timing just like didn't work out for me this season. But again, I just try to stick to my process all season, show my value, practice hard, do all I could in the meetings, and I think they saw a little bit of that. And so the day after the season, when we did like our exit interviews and stuff, they offered the futures contract, and I talked to my agent, talked to my girlfriend at the time. And we kind of decided, all right, I'm going to give this 5th year a shot. And so I signed back with the Bucs, and so now it's just prep for this upcoming season.
When Patrick says girlfriend at the time, he doesn't mean that they broke up. He means that they are now engaged, which, by the way, congrats. If you guys don't follow Pat on Instagram, you had some great photos.
Imagine not following the Laird on Instagram. He's got the cutest dog. Yeah.
Yeah, send the follow. Yeah, so we got engaged this past weekend. So now my fiance.
Yeah, you did the whole thing, man. You set up the whole surprise. You had a photographer hiding. I don't know what Pete did for his proposal, but mine definitely was not that involved.
What'd you do?
I just did it with our dog. I tied the ring around one of our dog's necks and had her come over and get it, but it was nothing like a beautiful scenic California mountainside hike.
I thought of doing something like that. Teddy, so my dog's name's Teddy for people that don't know, and he was on the hike with us. The way we set it up, what's that?
Teddy is not hiking, bro.
Yeah, he is.
He did this whole hike. He did the whole hike.
I am shocked right now.
He's more fit than people give him credit.
Okay.
Yeah, so the way we set it up is we went up to San Luis Obispo, where I grew up. Oh yeah, here we go. Here's some photos for people watching. So that's the rolling hills of San Luis Obispo. And I went to high school, probably you could see the high school from that spot actually.
Oh wow.
Yeah. But Bryce was the one that actually suggested that we go up to SLO for the weekend. And I had it in my mind that I wanted to do it after the season. I got the ring during the season. And so I talked to her parents. I was like, hey, if I do it this weekend, would you guys be willing to drive up and kind of make it extra special? I talked to her siblings and they all came up. And so in her head, she's thinking like she knew I wanted to do it, sooner rather than later, but she didn't think that, because she was the one that suggested we go up that weekend, she was thinking, oh, this wouldn't be the time. It wasn't even really crossing her mind. And then she also suggested we go wine tasting on Saturday, which I had already wanted to do, but I hadn't set it up yet. So I acted like that was it was her idea. And then, so we set up this tasting at 11 a.m. And then I had my older sister, who has 2 kids, invite us to go on a hike before wine tasting. And so Bryce committed to that. I didn't even say anything. She's like, yeah, let's do it. And then we get there to go on the hike at 10 a.m. And then my sister, who, I told her to do this bailed at the last minute saying her baby was asleep. And so we're sitting at the bottom of this hill, and Bryce is like, you know what, let's just go on the hike anyways. And I was like, all right, sounds good. You know, I was going to make us go on the hike regardless, but it was good that she suggested it. And so still she didn't figure it out. And then, you know, the wine tasting thing worked out because we're both dressed up for wine tasting rather than going on like a hike. So we kind of were dressed nicer than, you know, a normal hike attire. And then we're going up the hill, and there's actually 2 different ways to go. So you can go left and kind of go up this bigger peak, or go to the right. And Bryce was the one, she's like, you know what? I'm not feeling like going up the long way. Let's just go up this short path right here. And I was like, okay, perfect. I know that's where the setup is. So we're going up the little hill. And then I had 2 other sisters in town. They had gone out ahead of us and set up this basket with some flowers, champagne, some fruit, some snacks, and a blanket. And as we're walking up, my thought was like Teddy and I were going to find and discover this basket. But Bryce was actually the one, she pointed it out. She actually said, she's like, this would be a fun place to set up an Easter egg hunt. And I was like, what made you think of that? And she goes, look at that basket. Someone left it behind. And I'm like, what the heck?
No.
Check out the
Hook,
basket.
line, and sinker.
Yep. I go check out the basket, and I get there and I start to open it, and she's like, what are you doing? And I was like, oh, it's kind of a nice basket. So she starts to walk up, and then she sees the bottle of the champagne, and she kind of starts to realize what was going on. And then that's when I did the proposal. And then my sisters were kind of hiding behind this little hill, and they started to approach and start taking photos in the video. So
that's awesome.
It worked out perfectly. And she was convinced that she would see whenever I proposed. She was convinced that I would see it coming. And so she was really surprised that I pulled it off without her noticing.
That's impressive.
That's an A. Yeah, that's an A+, dude.
Yeah,
I hope my wife doesn't listen.
It worked out way better than I anticipated.
I know. I did. You have all these nice photos. Like when I proposed to Lauren, it was at a park by our house where we lived, but it was like the hottest day of the year. It was in mid-June, and we took some selfies after, and like I've never posted or shared the selfies because I look just like we're just like sweating profusely, like beet red of like, all right, these photos are never seeing the light of day. So I'm always jealous of those of you who have really nice engagement photos like that.
Yeah, we got lucky. Yeah. Shout out to my sisters and my sister's boyfriend, Cody, for helping out.
Yeah, that's awesome stuff. Yeah, definitely check out the photos on the Instagram if you're listening to the audio version. So what does this mean for you guys as far as like where you're setting up? Because you guys have bounced around. You've been in Miami, San Luis Obispo. You're in Manhattan Beach right now. Like, where are you guys still going to be kind of nomads? I
think so. I mean, Bryce got a job in San Diego, so she's in law school right now. I feel like it's fine to share this personal information because I'm sure anyone can find her LinkedIn online. You know, like I feel like most of this stuff people can find online anyways. But anyway, she got a job, and I'm actually drinking. I'm going to brag a little bit about my fiance. She got a job at this law firm, Morrison Forrester. I don't want to butcher it, but they just call it MoFo for short. So they got some cool swag. So she has a job down in San Diego post graduation. She'll find out her start date later. So the plan is to move down there, San Diego, whenever I can. So I'm going to be in Tampa this season. I'm going to head out to Tampa probably for OTAs and workouts in late April and stay through June. She'll graduate, I think, in May. I'll do my season. We're kind of talking about maybe she could start remote, but that's, up in the air. It's kind of up to the law firm. And then, probably starting in 2024, we'll be in San Diego full time while she's working.
And Patrick Laird will be the starting running back for the San Diego / Los Angeles Chargers. They'll relocate.
Yeah, he needs the franchise to unrelocate at this point.
Well, funny enough, they're building their new facility about like 5 minutes from where I am right now.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Man,
but I love the
Eckler needs a backup, dude. I mean, come on. And Josh Kelly and Larry Roundtree don't play special teams like my guy Patrick Laird does.
Do you guys think? Do you think Eckler? He didn't make the Pro Bowl this year. Do you think that was a big snub?
He didn't make the Pro Bowl.
Did he not?
Tyler Huntley's going to the Pro Bowl. How did Austin Eckler not make?
Yeah,
the Pro
Austin
Bowl?
Eckler is the best running back, I think.
I'm going to be honest, Pat. I haven't been grinding the Pro Bowl rosters lately.
Well, do you know the biggest snub was McCaffrey? I think.
Who's voting on these Pro Bowls if Christian McCaffrey and Austin Eckler didn't make the Pro Bowl?
Yeah, what is going on here?
NFL players are supposed to. I don't know if I voted. I think I voted for the Pro Bowl. I voted for like the NFLPA is trying to take over these all pro and Pro Bowl selections because the union doesn't like what the writers come up with. So I voted in the NFLPA one, but I don't know.
You're right. Running back for the NFC: Barkley, Pollard, Sanders, Dalvin Cook. No CMC.
Dalvin Cook, come on.
So if you look at McCaffrey's numbers, they're insane. Like,
yeah,
the fact that he didn't make the Pro Bowl.
McCaffrey is the best.
Gainwell with a
and
fine
Eckler is
motion.
the second best, probably.
First read was taken away.
Autoplay video. Used to
Yeah,
that
that is
Rotoworld.com.
that is very bizarre there for the Pro Bowl. I mean, Laird, at this point though, like I feel like you could get an invite, with how Tyler Huntley's going. Let's get Patrick Laird to the Pro Bowl. We voted for you in that, what was it? The San Luis Obispo High School all-time athlete competition.
All-time athlete challenge.
Yeah.
I ended up I lost to some guy. He had more hometown love. I had like the across the country love, and they must have discounted it.
I was so pissed about that. I've never dedicated so many tweets to one poll, and we couldn't get it done.
It's like tweeting out a link on Sunday morning trying to get something filled. Yeah,
worse.
Nothing worse.
So what was the transition like going from like the Dolphins organization to the Bucs? Like, did you find that all these organizations run fairly similarly, or were there some like pretty big differences in kind of your experience as a player?
Pretty big difference. Yeah, I think one of the biggest differences I noticed right away was the Bucs are filled with a ton of veterans and a lot of guys that have been on the team or, with Tampa for a long time.
Yeah.
Levante David, Mike Evans, Will Golston, like just, Vita Vea. He's, I think, only been there like 5 or 6 years, but like a lot of veterans. And then obviously, Tom.
Elephant in the room. We got to talk about what is it like to share a fucking locker room with Tom Brady, dude?
It's pretty cool. It's funny. It's like, that's like the number one thing I get asked about, like with my time in Tampa. Yeah. It'll be like, hey, congrats on being with the Bucs. How's Tom?
I wasn't going to ask you the chalk. I was going to be like, what's it like to share a locker room with Scotty Miller? That was the question I was going to ask you, Patrick.
Scotty's an awesome dude. I love that guy. He's hilarious.
Chris Godwin is the virgin hero on the team. People like Peter and I who love fantasy football, we all love Chris Godwin.
I love Chris Godwin. That's just a great dude. He's awesome. And
that's so good to hear.
The thing I like about Chris, and when you notice this, you notice it all the time after the fact. And I don't know if you guys have noticed this, but he makes catching really hard balls. Let me phrase that a different way.
He glides, dude. He just
all
glides.
That are hard to catch. He makes it look so easy that they look like they were like great thrown balls, but like he just snags it out of the air. And so it's very subtle, but it's just such an impressive part of his game, and it makes him that much more productive. I love Chris. But back to the Tom. I got a funny Tom story. So when I showed up to Tampa, it was the day when they had to cut down the roster from 90 to 85. And so when I showed up, there were still 90 guys on the roster, and they had like, at that time, the locker room's pretty much full. Like, all the lockers are taken except for the one that was left was the one right next to Tom's locker. So they had to, he has both lockers filled with his stuff. So they had to take all his stuff and put it back in his just one locker, and then put my nameplate right there with all my stuff. And I'm like, oh no. And but he was gone at the time. He was on that leave. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm just gonna be the guy that showed up middle of camp that took his extra locker.
Took Tom's locker.
Wow.
And I was like, oh, he's gonna hate me. But literally they made the cuts that afternoon. They took out all my stuff, moved it to a different part of the locker room, and then put all his stuff back.
He'll never know.
He'll never know.
Until now. Take cast Peter Overzet Deposit Kingdom exclusive.
I think he's probably a fan of you guys. He'll probably be
sure.
I'm sure our content is right up his alley.
Yeah.
So did you feel like, because obviously heading into the season, like the whole stuff with Tom Brady and taking that absence, like massive national football story. Like, could you guys feel that like at camp? Or are you guys in such an isolated bubble that it didn't like even fully register?
So this will be an extension of when you guys asked about the difference between my time in Miami and then Tampa. One thing I noticed right away, like most football facilities will just have, or at least Miami and Tampa, they have TVs everywhere, and a lot of time they're either they'll play some like local news or whatever, but a lot of time they just have like the NFL Network on, and like
none of that.
The percentage of time that Tampa Bay is on the screen and they're talking about our team, and a lot of the time the conversation revolves around Tom, is just like absurd. It's just so much that was like a big difference. You always see your team being talked about. And then, Miami, we started to have success a little bit in the third year. We were kind of like on the cusp of making the playoff. Tua is a big name, so they talk about Tua a lot but just Brady and Tampa was just on another level, especially, winning the Super Bowl a couple of years ago. With they had a great record last year. So that was, a huge difference. And so guys see it, that's just a part of it. I don't know if it's like it affects guys day to day, but you just know that people are always talking about the team and like what's going on, and like you just see the speculation, and you just see that. But it's just that's a part of the job, I guess, and I don't think guys care. I think you'd rather be on a team they talk about more rather than not talk about at all.
Yeah, you'd rather be on the 8-9 Buccaneers than the 1 and whatever Houston Texans, probably.
Yeah.
Well, it probably had to be interesting for you too, because you go home and you'd see all this stuff on the news and what everyone's talking about, but then you actually have a front row seat to it, because a lot of it too was just like, what headspace is he in? Like, is he in a good mood? Like, where's his head at heading into it? And you're getting to like be in the huddle, doing snaps with him. That just had to be a weird dynamic.
Yeah, and another question people would ask is like, have you noticed anything affecting him? Like, have you noticed? I was like, I never played with him.
Is your friend Tom in a good mood, Pat?
Yeah. But from what I noticed, he was just like, he's just a normal. Well, he's not a normal teammate, but he's a great teammate. And like, I never noticed anything day to day that like I would say that he brought some outside, anything going on outside. I don't think he ever brought it to the facility. Not that I would have noticed. And he still threw for like 4,600 yards or something crazy. Like,
yeah,
I've always wondered that dynamic in superstar sports, right? So like in basketball, when you play with LeBron, in football, like it's got to be a weird dynamic being in the locker room, or honestly, even just playing with Brady or Mahomes or one of these guys, because you're like, this guy, like the way people talk about him, the way people perceive him, it's like this dude is immortal. It's like this guy. It's like it'd be like going into the huddle with like Paul Bunyan or Johnny, like literally like a myth. But like there's that dude like getting water at practice and being like, "What do you mean on this play, coach?" Like that's like a crazy dynamic to me.
Yeah,
I don't know how I'd handle.
I think there's just like there's that period where you just like you kind of just got to get used to it, but it is different. But I think by like for me, like November, December, whenever I was around him, it was just like he was just another teammate. And I think that's how you have to approach it. You can't just be like have like
that's weird for everybody. If you're starstruck by your own teammate, that's weird for everybody.
Yeah. Then you just can't have like a real relationship. Funny. So in Germany, so like the level of celebrity, like you mentioned, like Mahomes, who's like a big, celebrity in the football world, and maybe he's starting to transcend a little bit into like popular culture, but like Tom is like international star.
Yeah.
Where when we were in Germany, I got on an elevator and this guy looks at me and goes, Tom?
That's better than someone thinking you're an intern who just like happens to work out.
You stole his locker and you stole his identity is what I'm hearing.
Yeah, I should have went with it, but I'm about like 4 inches too short and not as good looking. But no, so like everybody in Germany knows who he is. Like they don't even if actually there's a huge football following in Germany that that I just learned about. But even if like people didn't follow football, they still knew who he was, and they were like people just in the lobby, just random people from Munich, Germany, just come into the hotel lobby looking, where's Tom? and that's
Gotta
all they
be
cared
nuts.
about seeing. It's nuts. So like his like notoriety or celebrity is just like on a different level than like, you know, any other athlete. I mean, up there with like LeBron James, basically on an international
Yeah.
level, I'd imagine.
Did you guys have any non-football conversations, you and Tom?
Tom read Radical Markets in the offseason.
Yeah, a little
No.
biz dev talk, you know, anything like that?
So Mike Evans is a big fan of trivia, specifically sports trivia. And then I'm a fan of like, I'll do like political and historical trivia, like American history trivia. And so we bounce ideas, you know, bounce questions off of each other and try to stump each other. And he likes to do this with like the wide receiver room. He would just throw out like, you know, which NBA player scored 60 points in a playoff game in the 90s. Like Mike Evans might know that, might know the answer to that question. So
I know my icebreaker if I ever meet Mike Evans now.
But yeah, good trivia. He'll love you for that. So I came up with a question. It was, which U.S. president turned down going to the NFL? Or because there's been a couple that have played college football. I forget how I framed it, but it was something like, you know, who was the last Division I All-American football player to become the U.S. president? And so I asked everybody, not everybody, but I asked like a lot of people on offense, because these are just questions people kind of throw out during walkthroughs, and guys kind of like mull it over and try to come up with an answer. Stumped every single person except for Tom. But do you guys want to try to guess this one?
Well, I was thinking it's so like the answer that made the most sense to me in terms of how they're like portrayed publicly is Theodore Roosevelt. But
That's what I was going to say was Teddy.
I don't think those time frames line up. And then I was thinking like, okay, Reagan was an actor. Jimmy Carter's kind of a wimp. Wouldn't have been Nixon.
Was it Eisenhower?
No, Eisenhower was a football player though.
Okay, that's what. Yeah.
But Roosevelt, so Teddy didn't play college football, but he is remembered partly for like helping start like what would become the NCAA.
Yeah,
so that's his legacy with football. So none of the guys you mentioned so far, or at least I don't think I heard it correctly. A hint is there's a connection with Brady and his alma mater.
Oh, Michigan.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know presidential history well enough. Like I could think of the guys who would be it, but he was
never elected. That might be.
Oh, then I for sure won't know.
Okay. Yeah, this is a trick question. Who is it?
Gerald Ford.
Okay.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Nixon's VP. So yeah.
Oh, that should have been obvious. If he never elected. Yeah, that should have been obvious. Okay.
Yeah. So, but apparently Ford was like this amazing All-American football player at Michigan, and then turned down the NFL. I guess he had options to go play at like for the Bears or the Packers or something, or maybe the Lions. And then decided to go to law school.
Hang on. So now I need to know, did you go up to Tom and specifically ask them, or did he overhear you guys saying it and then like shouted the answer out from across the field?
I was asking Ryan Griffin the question, who's another sharp guy, been with Tampa for a long time. He was like he was on the practice squad. As a quarterback. And I was asking him the question, and I was like, I gave him one of the hints I gave him. I was like, I'm pretty sure Tom will know the answer to this question. And Griff was like, he might have gotten after that, but then we went up to Tom and asked him, and I asked him that question, and right away he goes, Gerald Ford.
Michigan man.
That's like the first non-football. Well, I guess it's football related, but it's like more political. Political side of it. But,
I get the vibe.
Nothing on the top of my head. Like, he was down. He was down to like mess around and chat about other things. But he's pretty football focused when it's time to work.
I imagine. What was it like getting to know like the running back room too? Because I mean, I would say like
his coworkers,
your coworkers. I mean, Leonard Fournette. I mean, 4th overall draft pick, Rachaad White. They draft heavily. Like the pedigree of like the running back room that you were in was pretty high.
Yeah, it was fun because like Miami, we shuffled in and out of a bunch of different people. I played with, I don't even know how many running backs. And then this year was like the first time we just had like 5 guys in the room. We had 4 guys on the active. I think we got everybody there except for Gio. In this photo for people that are watching, I got a photo of the running backs in Germany with our running back coach.
You look tall. You look taller than Fournette there.
Yeah, I'm probably like, he's probably like maybe, he might not be like even half an inch taller than me. But yeah, he's obviously a little bit bigger than I am. So yeah, like Miami, we had, I'm trying to think like, well, I played with like Kenyon Drake, who's a pretty big name.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just like, it was different. We had just continuity in the running back room. And so you got to really, understand how the guys worked. And, Lenny has obviously had a lot of success and earned a big contract. I think it was like a year ago. And then Rashad came in, and I remember actually Rashad during rookie minicamp. I was like, wow, this guy's a very polished guy for a rookie. So I was like, I think he's going to be really a good running back. Keyshawn Vaughn, who I think they drafted in the 3rd round a couple years ago, very explosive player. But it's just by the fact that, Lenny and Rashad were playing well, they kind of just rotated those two guys. And then Gio, who's like one of my favorite guys I think I played with, 10 years in the NFL, super sharp dude, very nice guy. So yeah, it was definitely like a fun running back room to be a part of. And I tried to add value in any way I could, just like watching film and trying to, share with Rashad some of the stuff I see when I'm like looking at defenses and all that. So definitely a cool room to be a part of.
It's cool too, because I don't know if I could think of another running back room in the league where every single back catches passes and can pass protect. Like you'll normally see like the 2-down specialist, the early down grinder, your Boston Scotts of the world, but clearly like Tampa had, constructed this running back room to catch passes and protect Tom Brady.
Yeah. You'll see like what I was more used to in Miami was similar to what like the Bengals do. You'll notice like Mixon will be in there for a lot of 1st and 2nd down stuff. And then anytime it's 3rd and long or 3rd down and like, I don't know, 3rd and like 4+, they'll bring in Samaje Perine. And he'll do a lot of like the pass protection stuff.
But you guys just alternated drives.
It was like by series. And then in Miami, a lot of the time what we did was by personnel groups. So, Miles might go in with 3 wide receivers and 1 tight end. It's like 11 personnel. And then like, another guy might go in and like 12 personnel. And then I might go in on like the 3rd down packages. So it's like, we did it that way. Whereas with the Bucs this past season, a lot of it was, every game is game plan specific. So this wasn't like across the board always, but a lot of, they do it by series, and you can obviously just see that watching the games. It was like, Lenny would get a series, then Rashad would get a series, and then Lenny, and then Rashad. And then when Rashad was in, sometimes we bring Keyshawn Vaughn in. And so for like a 2-back set, but yeah, it's just like every team has a different philosophy and kind of how they want to run things. But we'll see what happens, because, the Bucs, we're going to have a new offensive coordinator. So I wonder, I'll be curious to see how we do that going forward.
I feel like one of the talking points too, people always say for Brady in particular, like you got to be able to pass protect. You don't want, if you miss a block and you're in the doghouse, you're not seeing the field. Did you notice a premium placed on pass blocking for the running back room, like in practices, even maybe more so than in Miami?
It's such a thing that running back coaches emphasize, because like every person in the building, I don't want to say is worried about their job, but everybody wants to keep their job. And one way for a running back coach to get kind of like for the coaches to get mad at the running back coach is if a running back misses a pass protection. So it's not even that Tom is putting that, like I had a great running back coach in Miami, great running back coach with the Bucs. And so like, that's just something that running backs put a lot of time on, because a running back coach does not want to put a guy out there that is going to miss a pass protection. So yeah, I think any coach is going to put, any running back coach and coordinator and head coach wants to put a premium on that. But I guess, the stakes are kind of heightened when you got a guy like Tom back there. The funny thing with Tom is like, or it's not funny, it's like you would expect this, is when we do pass protection meetings between the O-line, the running backs, and the quarterbacks. So all of us are in one room going over the scheme for that week.
Yeah.
And the O-line coach is kind of running the tape. He has some cut up with all the different looks to expect. he's just with the clicker. Tom is really running the meeting. He's the one saying, hey, like, how do you, but he's very like, he'll ask the guys like, hey, how do you see this? What's this front you're looking at? How do you want to call this? And you can kind of see that during the game. A lot of guys are talking, hey, this is, 4 down front. Hey, we should mic that guy. If the safety rotates, maybe we'll do a, righty lefty call. That's pretty standard terminology across the NFL. I'm not like revealing any like specific game plan stuff for what we did this past season or what Tom does specifically. Like a lot of quarterbacks can do that, but he just has total command. He'll just see like, hey, if I see this blitz, I'm doing this. If I see that blitz, I'm doing that. Fitz did that a lot in Miami. Tua started to do that, I think, last year, and I'm sure he did it, as quarterbacks play longer in the league, they start to do that more and more. But Tom just had like total command and total, he could see it all, and he could direct everybody. And so that as a running back, that just puts you at ease. It gives you a level of comfort where that if the defense gives you a hard blitz to pick up, Tom is going to be there to bail you out.
That's a good spot to be in, to have Tom bailing you out.
Seriously.
Yeah, bailing out. It's like, but there's still. I don't want to like downplay the pressure. There's still like a lot of pressure to pick up a blitz. I didn't really experience it this past year in a game with him, but I just I saw it. He was good about communicating. Hey, if they bring this, I'll do this, so you don't have to worry about all these complicated things happening.
Did the running backs coach, did they give you stuff like as you head into the offseason of like, hey, these are the things we want to see you work on. These are the things that if you add this to your game, your potential for playing time could increase? Or like, how does that work as far as heading into the offseason? Or are they just like, stay in shape and we'll see you at OTAs or whatever?
So our running back coach, he was let go. He's one of the guys that was let go, but I had a really good relationship with him, and I think we work pretty well together. And there's so much stuff going on. So anything that I could help with preparing the guys when watching film, I would do that. And so I think he appreciated that. And we just, when we had our like exit interview, it was more just like kind of chopping it up, just planning to stay in touch and all that. But yeah, like every player will sit down with the head coach. And so I had a good conversation with Coach Bowles on, I don't know if we really got too much into stuff that for me to work on. He had like a general message to the whole team about, changing the culture and guys coming back in the off season and getting work in. But yeah, I think there's a role for me to carve out, and I think Coach Bowles sees that, but it's up to me to just show up and really prove that I can step into that role. And so that's kind of like that's going to be my focus this off season. And, I've already started training. So yeah, that's kind of the thoughts going forward. And but yeah, it's
what's your training regiment like? Like how much like lifting work are you doing? How much speed work? Like what's that? Do you do every day? Do you take Sundays off? Like what's your split like?
So right after the season, I say most guys will it's like standard practice. Like, hey, take a month off or take 6 weeks off, wait till after the Super Bowl to start training. One of the advantages of being on the practice squad all year is like, I wasn't taking those big hits.
You're not hurt.
I'm not hurt. Like my body feels the best it's ever felt. And so that's an advantage I think I'm going to take into this off season. Like I can start right away. Like I started training the day after the season ended. But right now I'm not doing like heavy squats and sprinting. I actually might go to the track today, but since the season has ended, basically my goal has been like get my body comp down to like a level. So basically like, lean mass to fat percentage, like the ratio of lean mass to fat in my body. Like I want to have it, that ratio as high as possible. So getting my body fat percentage down. So right now I'm going on long runs, but like kind of like steady state cardio, zone 2, zone 3, heart rate, a lot of bike work, a lot of core work. So kind of like a little like cross training just to like stay in shape and, not gain 15 pounds after the season. I've actually like lost a couple pounds since the season ended. So that's kind of like the goal. So then when I do start ramping up the heavy weightlifting, the sprinting, going into running back drills, change of direction stuff, like my body feels good. Because I know a lot of guys, when you take those 4 to 6 weeks off and you start training, you kind of are starting at a big deficit. So I'm like, what my goal was to like, when I actually start doing a lot more football specific stuff, my body already feels great. I'm already lean. I'm already so then I'm lean and I'm not trying to cut fat to build muscle. I'm just going straight into building muscle.
How much of this are you kind of programming on your own? Do you have
It's
someone
all-
that's programming
It's
with
all
you?
on my own right now because it's just like
Really?
I enjoy training. That's why I don't really wait, a month to start training. It's something I enjoy doing. If I sit around all day, I'll just get like anxious, I guess. So
Yeah.
like
it's horrible.
It's fun for me to just go do something. Like like I said, I'm probably gonna go to the track after this. Like that's something I look forward to doing.
What would be like a typical track workout for you? Are you just running like splits and stuff?
Today I'll start doing like drills. So like, your standard like track drills, like A skips, A pops, switches, things like that. I don't even know the names of all of them. It's just like stuff I learned when I, used to run track, or I'll see speed coaches online.
Is that to work on, like, are you doing that stuff to work on like quick twitch or?
Yeah, when I go to the track, it's usually top end speed stuff. So really getting into like, I'll build up for 20 to 30 yards and then hold that top end speed position for another 20 to 30 yards.
What's your resting heart rate? Is it sub 50?
47.
Oh, dude, people don't even know how gnarly that is.
That's according to my Apple Watch health data. I got the new Apple Watch Ultra. Definitely recommend.
Dude, this guy's shilling so many products.
I was gonna say, is
Apple
it worth
Watches.
it? I'm sort of interested. I just have the 8, but I kind of wanted to get the Ultra.
Yeah, I like it, one, for the long battery life, so I don't have to charge it for like 2 days. And then 2, like I found like just, being out and about, being at the gym, like it'll, hit up against some metal. And my old watch was scraping a lot. And like this thing, you can see if you're watching the video, it's like stayed in pretty good condition.
Yeah, mine's all banged up and scraped up. I've broken one of them before. Actually, yeah. I've had the screen on it just straight break, which was annoying.
My old one I broke too. The other cool thing is
Apple talk. Let's let's.
Oh yeah, I forget. Peter.
Apple Watch without an iPhone.
No way, dude. I got to get a Android specific smartwatch.
Peter doesn't know what his resting heart rate is because they don't have it in his like 2008 Garmin wristwatch that he has.
You can do it. You can do a whip. I'll show this too. You got.
I will be. I have like I care about a lot of this stuff, but for one reason or another, I've never been someone who's like wanted to count calories or measure my steps. Like, and I even like data. I like all that, but for some reason with health stuff, it just has never like appealed to me. I don't know why.
I've never been a calorie counter. I mean, maybe I should try it for a few weeks to see if I like it.
No. My advice to anyone listening to this is if you're not stressed about your weight, don't do it, because you do start to develop an unhealthy relationship with food. Because I've done it all. I've put on 20 pounds. I've lost 30. Like I've done every iteration of this thing, and just even honestly being aware of the caloric content of something you like to eat, but that is not good for you, takes away, even if you're happy with your body, even if you're happy with your regimen, being like, shit, I just ate a 1,200 calorie slice of cake. Like it's just not helpful to know if you've never done it.
I could see that. My thing with nutrition, I'm starting to like learn. I try to like pick up on like helpful things that I know I'll be able to implement. Like right now I'm drinking green tea, which apparently is supposed to have some added benefits. I haven't been a big tea drinker. I'm probably drinking too much coffee. So this is kind of like something I'm trying to add to see if I like the feeling. Like I like to try things, and it's like, does my body respond well to it? Do I feel better doing it? Does it help me perform better? Okay, I liked it. It helped me perform better. I'm going to continue to do it. I feel like nutritional science is it's not a concrete, it's
always changing. People's opinions and the data.
It's always changing.
It's like every 5 years there'll be
like the
huge
least solidified science there is. And so I think part of it, I'm all about going like doing things that are backed by studies and have all this data that supports it. But at the end of the day, like with nutrition, it's a thing that's changes for every single person, that you kind of have to just pick and choose like what works for you and just do that. And if one study shows that you could do something a little bit different and better for you, but then your body doesn't respond, like you just have to trust what you feel. And it's kind of a cop out a little bit, but it works the best for me.
it's also hard too, like your T example, right? Like to actually test that variable, like you need to do everything else the exact same as you always do it. Same training, same sleep schedule. And then you can be like, okay, this unique variable makes me feel one way or another. But if you have a lot of other chaotic elements or not a consistency, then you might not ever know if the T addition is actually helping you out or not. That's what's so hard about this stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree with that too. So trial and error.
What is like I find out the more I'm working out, the healthier I eat, because it's like, I want those benefits to compound. Like I don't want to undo stuff I do. Whereas when you spiral, that's when it's easier to be like, I'm not working out, I'm just going to eat whatever. Like, is your nutrition like locked down tight alongside of your training, or do you find yourself cheating? I've seen Instagram stories of you throwing back some cocktails.
Yeah. I think I'm pretty good like Monday through Friday. And then my biggest, I wouldn't say it's like a problem, but like on the weekends, I'm not really like making sure every meal is healthy. So I guess I'll like cheat weekends, especially during the off season. It's like, you got to have time to enjoy yourself, because with the NFL, like Friday, Saturday, Sundays, like that's like a big time where you have to like really hunker down.
Yeah. You're locked in.
Yeah. So you don't really get to enjoy weekend. I mean, practice squad, you can kind of do whatever you want, but like those are like 5 months of the year where like weekends are kind of set where you can't really go out and have fun. So I try to do that during the off seasons and enjoy myself. I'd say, yeah, there's probably like some sort of correlation between the harder I'm working out, the better I'll be eating. But I think actually, since this off season has started, I think I've started out on a better path where I'm eating better, having just like eggs and fruit for breakfast. Like that's kind of something I've really enjoyed, just eating. Like I could eat that for every breakfast. I could just have like eggs and fruit, and I feel great for a few hours. And yeah, I'd say diet's probably like the thing that I'm like the least like dialed in on. But I think like my body comp numbers are always pretty solid. So it's not something I stress too much about, but it's always something I'm looking to improve on.
I mean, that's the thing too with that stuff too, because you're already in the, upper percentiles for like athlete and stuff. And then for you to even optimize beyond that, it's like a guy who runs a 4-minute mile trying to shave off a couple seconds versus someone who runs a 6-minute mile. Like it just becomes exponentially harder for you too, to where you would really have to have zero enjoyment at all.
You would basically have to eat like a bodybuilder to get any real sort of be like, oh, I want to see my traps a little bit more, or I want to be 5 pounds lighter when I get into the season or whatever. Like you'd have to be eating like white fish and shredded lettuce to get there. It's like very much a lot of diminishing returns. Peter, that's so funny you mentioned that though. I got hurt for the first time training in a long time. Yeah. And I'm like, dude, spiraling is exactly what it is. It's just like takeout. Like I went and did cardio the other day, and I was like, every minute of it was horrible. It's nothing is worse. I mean, nothing is worse than when you're in a rut. I think I tore my something in my abdomen deadlifting. I think I came up because I'm really right side dominant, and so I think I just braced too loosely and just, I mean, deadlifting, that's what they say, right? The risk versus reward. And that's why they tell a lot of people not to do it. But it's horrible. Not fun.
How long ago was that?
It's like, it would have 13 days ago, because it was last Wednesday. And then I tried to train the next day. I was like, it'll be fine. It doesn't hurt that bad. And it just was like, during like training, actually, it didn't hurt that bad. But then for the rest of the day, I'm sitting in my desk chair and I'm like, you're a fucking idiot, dude. Like you're in so much pain right now. Why did you do this?
And it's a demoralizing feeling too, when you have momentum going. Like I know I was in a really good groove in the spring. And then when I got COVID and just like not being able to work out and your routine has to go to the wayside. I mean, it is a horrible feeling. I'm sorry. That sucks.
And it's like, and it totally cascades in like, I don't know if other people are like this, but I'm so much an all or nothing person. Like I do all this. I mean, some people think it's bullshit. Some people are really into it. This life optimization stuff. I meditate. I read before bed. I don't know, no blue light before bed. I'm like journaling. I'm doing, intermittent fat, just like all this shit. And I'm
Yeah.
hurt. And this last week, it's like I had fucking coffee with sugar and milk in it, for breakfast. Haven't meditated in 3 days. Like, it's crazy how once that flip gets switched back, which is like, which does make sense to me because, people are so much like this with like the New Year's resolution thing. And like, like you go to the gym January 1st. And it was for me, like I went to the gym January 1st. It was packed, so full. January 15th, I was there. No one's there, right? And maybe a couple people will stay, but it's just like, the human brain, man. It's nuts.
Yeah. And is the ab thing still bothering you?
Yeah. I tried to do. I went and I think me and my friends are gonna try and bike the longest existing rail trail left in the United States, all the way across Kansas or across Missouri from St. Louis to Kansas City. So I've been doing like 20-mile bike rides at the gym, just like on the little cycle or whatever. And I went and did that on Sunday, and I got off and I was in pain for the rest of the day. I'm watching the Chiefs game, like jumping off my couch, just like, God damn it, that shit sucks.
Oh,
Dude, that's the thing about if something happens to your arm, you can still do legs or vice versa, but your core, like that.
It's for everything. My doctor said I can still go and I should just reduce all my weights by like 50 pounds. But then I'm like, what's the point? I'm not gonna break a sweat, like it doesn't even sound fun.
I will say go ahead, Pat.
Well, I was just gonna say, like, I'm not a doctor or anything, but one of like the worst things you can do when you have like an injury, this is like, I've found this with like hamstrings especially, is you strain it and then you just stop using it.
When you just stop, yeah.
It's like the worst thing because then your body goes, oh, I don't need this muscle anymore. So even if you do lighten the load and like put a little bit of stress on that ab, I mean, if it's like a full-on tear, this might be bad advice. But like if it's like
it's not, because I think if it was like if I had like a torn gut, I think I would be like I think I would not be able to be walking around. Like it's probably just like dudes in the NFL probably play through this shit all the time. I just don't like being hurt. I think most people probably don't like being hurt, but I'm more of a complainer than the average person.
Yeah, but I just say like I've experienced this with shoulder, hamstring, my right hip flexor. Like anytime I've had like a little strain or it's like bothering me, and there's a little bit of pain, just doing some sort of like light isometric for like 30 seconds on, 30 seconds off,
like banded type stuff.
You can do movement stuff, but even just like for like an isometric on your hamstring would be like doing like putting your heel, like laying on your back, putting your heel on a bench and just digging your heel into the bench. And because you're not moving through like a range of motion, all you're doing is just activating in that one spot.
You're just contracting it a little bit.
You're just contracting, and your body goes, oh, I need to send blood back to this muscle. Oh, I need to use this muscle again. So I can imagine maybe with like an ab thing, like, does it hurt to lift your knee?
Yeah. That's what it's like. Any sort of small bracing, but actually, that's like a big bodybuilder thing. Is like when they go work out, they do like really light isometric stuff on. Like if it's like arm day, they're gonna do like 100 like really small lightweight isometric things just to get all the blood there.
I was just gonna say, when I dislocated my shoulder and I did like the physical therapy, like in doing a lot of isolated movements, but that also, Davis, in my brain, it like made me feel like I was going to get a workout, and it was nice to have them give me exercises that actually made sense, where I was still exerting energy, but in a smart way. Like maybe look into seeing if sometimes your insurance will cover those too.
I actually have done a full PT thing before because I had a surgery on my arm, and so funny, people. You say that, Peter, because people are always like, oh, I hate going to the PT. They make me do all this shit. It hurts. I loved going. I was like, that shit would be like the highlight of my week because it would be the most range of motion I would get. It was awesome. Oh, we gotta ask Pat this. Pat, do you do the ice baths? Have you been influenced by large ice bath?
I love the ice bath. So,
well, I guess it's an NFL thing, anyways. Before it was an Instagram thing.
Yeah, well, I was doing them I did them back in high school, actually. We had a coach buy 2 like horse feeders, and we would just put bags of ice and water from a hose outside of our weight room at my high school. I didn't do them that consistently then. In college, we had an ice bath right next to the locker room. That was kind of attached to the training room, so I used to do them then. But I actually just started recently this season doing ice baths in the morning. So I'd wake up, I usually wake up around like 5:30, 5:45, get to the facility just before 6 or around 6. First thing I do, just get into some compressions and go straight to the ice bath up to the neck and just do 5 minutes. And you just start, and then you just start your day with that. And then I'd watch film for like an hour and a half. Meeting started at 7:45. And so like my body is just slowly, then I would drink coffee afterwards. I know you're a fan of Huberman, and he says to delay the coffee drinking, but for me,
basically my God. But what they say, what Huberman and Dr. Andy Galpin, who is the other guy who I would put on that level, they both say if you're going to train, do whatever you want with the caffeine. It's more about relying on the caffeine itself to be your entrance into the world, as opposed, like, it's fine to do for like pre-workout and stuff. They're like, it's fine.
Yeah. I've gotten pretty good about regulating my caffeine consumption. And I will like never drink it after 12, especially during the season. I'll like never, like, my last cup of coffee will be before practice around maybe like 9:30 or 10 a.m. And so I feel like, with the half-life, it's probably out of my system, or most of it's out of my system by the time I'm going to bed. But yeah, doing that ice bath thing, I would do it every Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and then sometimes on Saturdays. But Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, I don't know, I was doing it for maybe like 12, 14 weeks straight. I think I started a few weeks into the season. And it's for like the people that don't know, like, one of the things that Huberman talks about is like, it's a great mood booster. I mean, you probably would you get
all your body's norepinephrine enters
yeah,
your bloodstream immediately.
I'm still learning all the terminology, but just I did it and I just felt great. And like it's just easier to focus during meetings, because like by the time you get to December and January in NFL season, it's like it's very monotonous. And so to have that little mood booster throughout the year, just in your day to day, and it felt amazing. And then the other thing I've gotten really into is the sauna. Have you gotten into the sauna yet?
Pete's a big sauna maxi. I like it a lot. I don't do it every day.
Well, Davis, that's when you do the sauna into the cold shower, the cold plunge, that's when you just like unlock euphoria. Like, that's the best feeling.
It's amazing. Actually, so one thing I would do this on, I didn't like the sauna before practice. So I did this on a couple Saturday mornings, because we just do walkthroughs. I go early, do the ice bath, and then go get a coffee and go straight into the sauna at about like 175 degrees.
That sounds so unbelievably good.
Body is heating up. You're drinking coffee, and you're in like 175 degrees, and you're sweating, and it's just like, it's like the best way to start your day. And I try to recreate it here, so I'm close to the ocean, and the water temperature gets down to like, it's like not that cold. It's like 56, 55 degrees maybe.
They say like 50 is you're going to activate like most of this. Obviously, it's not as good, but it's still pretty good.
Yeah, like the one in Tampa. So one cool thing with Ultra is when you put it underwater, it tells you the temperature.
It tells you. That's sick.
So the ice bath in Tampa was like about 49 to 50 degrees.
I think you just sold me on the Ultra.
Yeah, it's yeah, I'm trying to recreate it with the ocean. It's not as cold as I'd like it, but the other thing that I think Huberman talks about a lot is that sunlight. So I'll go right at sunrise. I'm sitting in the ocean, and I'm looking at the sunlight, and it's just like one of the best ways to start your day.
Just manifesting a 2,000-yard season, just out there. You love it. No, I'm in negotiations right now with Lauren. I have had bookmarked a sauna to purchase for my home for a while. We're in ongoing negotiations. I think I'm going to get it done here.
Is this like one of these infrared saunas, or like the full on?
I want the real like finish one. Yeah,
got to do dry sauna with the hot rocks.
That's what I'm going to get. But it's also going to require a little electrical work, because it doesn't like uses more than just your typical like amp stuff. So it's a tough sell, but like I've now that we moved into our new place and I have more space, like my two main goals are sauna and building a garage gym. Use one of my, and so those are like the two things I've been thinking about nonstop.
So what you can,
I would, where's this going to go in your house? Like, are you not worried about it like fucking up your woodwork? Like I would be sweating the sauna fucking up other parts of my house.
So there's two things. First of all, they can go outside if I want as well. But because of like New England winters, there's a little bit more maintenance with them that I don't necessarily want to deal with. So I think I just put it in my basement. I have a little space down here by my office, and I have a bathroom down here where my shower is. And so I was just thinking having it right down there and then being able to go cold shower, plunge back and forth in it. But we also need a new car, and Lauren, I think, will kill me if I buy a sauna before we get a new car for our child. But what were you going to say?
What I've read recently is adding, if you do the sauna well, like you build it well enough, it'll add value. So I don't know if you're forever home now, but if you can say, hey, we'll put $5 to $10,000 into building this sauna. And when we go to sell the home in a few years, that's going to be, maybe an extra $10 to $15,000 on top of the selling price. Just
what's the timestamp on this? I'm sending this one to Lauren at 1 hour.
I tell you, when I'm ready to get out of this fucking dust bucket and buy a non-starter home, a sauna would be a huge selling point for me. Pat, I bought the absolute top of the housing market. I have a great rate, but I bought in like June of 2021. Like no one's a bigger sucker than me.
I was gonna ask. So I remember you tweeting something about like it was like mortgage brokers, or no, maybe not mortgage. It was like lenders, lenders and like valuing crypto and how they wouldn't accept it or something. What were the issues with that?
I mean, basically, they just don't believe you have any money. Like, basically, you're like, I have this money, and that is not even that big of a problem for them to not believe it as long as you have a job, which I do. So it's like maybe that changes on the margins how much you can get. But the bigger issue is that when you actually, so even if you're approved, right? So I'm approved for, I think I was approved for $300,000. Mm-hmm. But to actually access that money, so for them to actually give it to you, you have to document where all your money in your bank account for the last 3 months, where it came from. So I would have these transactions of like lump sums of cash, and they'd be like, okay, you got to document all. And I'm like, I can't fucking document where all, it's because it's it's like you literally have to know how to use a blockchain to see where this money came from. And so I'm actually sending my lender blockchain transactions, right? Of like, if you go on the Ethereum blockchain or the Bitcoin blockchain, you can trace this money, where it originated, where it came from, yada, yada. And he's like, dude, this is above my head. I can't, you're just not approved. So what I ended up having to do in the end, this is how stupid the financial system is what I had to do is I had to get my father-in-law to send me, I think, because it was just for the down payment that you had to show it for. So I think I had to have him send me $10,000 in cash as a verified as a loan for my father-in-law. And then I just paid him back. After we closed, I just sent the money back to him. But that was how insane it was. I mean, it really was kind of a nightmare.
Wow. Are you guys still long crypto?
Oh, I mean, what's the?
There's nowhere else to go.
I sold a lot of Ethereum at $3,000 to pay my income taxes for last year. What is it, Pete? Like $1,500, something like that. Yeah,
it's actually $1,600.
And Bitcoin's around 20,000 right now.
Yeah. I try not to check the price. Obviously, this is such a bougie way to get your price checked. But the only time I see the Bitcoin price is I get the Morning Brew newsletter, and sometimes instead of auto deleting it, I'll actually read it. And every once in a while they have the Bitcoin price and like their top ticker or whatever.
Yeah, Wall Street Journal, they have a good markets opening like newsletter, and they post all that stuff. Bitcoin 23,000.
What good for us.
So you guys said there's nowhere else to go. There's this thing. It's
I more meant that as far as like Davis and I are too stubborn to sell low, and we're just long-term holders. So you just kind of have golden handcuffs.
Pat's about to tell us about Vanguard 500, the Vanguard ETF.
Dang, ruined the punchline. What's it called when you have an opinion about something, and then you're presented with counter information, and then instead of changing your opinion, you just change your interpretation of the. There's some logical fallacy. I wish I had it off the top of my head, but that's
it's just good living. I mean, here's the thing.
Well, I see the value still, and it's definitely an interesting asset class.
What did you think of the FTX stuff?
Oh yeah,
I'm glad I was not a part of it.
I was not a part of any of that. I don't think Peter was either. All that shit coinery is not for us.
I wasn't a part of the FTX stuff specifically, but on Gemini, I had some of my Ethereum in their earn program, which is basically just their way to, you can earn interest on it, which, as we've described before, ended up being like picking up, pennies in the middle of the highway. And I had like 2 days where, because of the trickle down effects of FTX, and there was a middleman lender that Gemini used, so they were feeling the effects of it, and they had to halt withdrawals on the earn funds. But I like caught the winds coming and got all of my stuff out of there literally 2 days before they halted it. So I would have had a good chunk of Ethereum like probably gone forever had I not moved quickly on that. And I would have felt the effects of this in a pretty big way.
Dang. Yeah. Good for you to get out of it.
I don't keep any of my stuff on any of these exchanges. None of my, I don't
anymore.
It's all in a cold wallet for me. There was a site called BlockFi, which very similar to all this, that like they were the same thing. It's like, oh yeah, keep your stuff with us, 5% returns. And basically one day I just realized like I'm the fucking yield here. Like they are using my money to make more money. And that works really well when interest rates are low and the Fed's pumping and everyone's happy. But like, that can only continue for so long. So like maybe like a year and a half ago, I got all my stuff out of there. Anything where you can't see where the yield is coming from, you are the yield. And that's true of all financial instruments anywhere in life.
Yeah. I thought the irony was funny that like one of the biggest selling points was like, it's going to be this hedge against inflation. The Fed is printing all this money with low interest rates, and holding Bitcoin is going to be the way, or holding some sort of, cryptocurrency is the way to hedge against that. And then it turned out to just be like a bubble asset, like everything else.
Well, what we learned is that all of these asset prices were fake, right? Every asset class, it was all fake because it was all being traded on leverage and margin. So it was just not possible for these, there was not enough money being moved around, but because you could borrow money cheaply until the there's a good, I'm messing up the English language now. There's a good, when the crows came home to roost, when the chickens came home to roost or whatever, when the music stopped and you had to find a chair to sit in, all these, every asset price, just, like Tesla's down a bazillion. Peloton is like down 95% from its highs or whatever. Because they were all fake prices.
Yeah. Have you heard of Matt Levine? He's his financial writer. I think he writes for Forbes, but he has just been like every like cryptocurrency story that came out. He writes for Bloomberg, but he's this very sharp guy. I think he has like a law background, but used to be like a Wall Street or a investment banker. And so he has like a really good understanding of the financial system. And it's just funny to like the way he writes, he like kind of breaks it down in like this kind of like sardonic tone but he keeps it real, and he's like, here's where the value could be, but then here's like where all these people like saw an ability to like basically run a scam, and they did it, and they made out with millions of dollars. So he's been an interesting person to follow. And then the thing with the FTX thing I'm kind of excited about is Michael Lewis's book.
Oh man, yes.
The fact that this guy, he had a great podcast. He's on the Freakonomics podcast recently, and he was talking about like how lucky he's gotten in his career. And when you hear all the stories about where he's been at the right place, right time, it's crazy. Obviously he's an amazing writer, and he writes about what we would think of like everyday people, and just makes them interesting. But he has just gotten so lucky with he was in the Bahamas with with Sam Bankman-Fried for months, I think. And now
Yeah.
he's like,
This
he's
book
gonna
is
write.
going to be so good.
Yeah,
It's
that's
gonna be so good. I cannot.
we got to do a book club for
Yeah.
for the SBF.
Yeah.
I should also
for sure.
I just saw, so he has his own, Michael Lewis has a podcast called Against the Rules, and it just actually popped in my feed either this morning or yesterday, but he's doing a lot of more like supplementary research for the book, like talking to experts in crypto and all this. And he's going to publish all of those interviews or the interesting ones on his podcast feed. So that'd be probably a good way to get primed for that book too, which sounds cool.
Yeah. I mean, I feel bad for a lot of people that lost money, but it'll be Michael Lewis writing a book about that. It's going to be interesting. Like, it's going to be very interesting, and it's going to be a way for like people to learn, because like people still reference The Big Short when we talk about everything that went wrong with the great financial crisis. So like he's kind of like is like a commentator on like social issues, but then like we reference it years later, and like he has like a big impact on like how people think moving forward. You know, like,
and that speaks to the storytelling. Right? Because that's what we actually sink our teeth into, is the story element of it.
Yeah. Like Moneyball. I haven't read Moneyball, but like people reference it all the time, and it kind of changed analytics and sports. And then people talk about The Big Short and the financial crisis. Like, I'm sure with crypto 10 years from now, people will be referencing what Michael Lewis wrote about in whatever, this book coming up. So
what's crazy too is like this story, like, yeah, he has a good chunk of information to write about, but like this story's still unfolding, whether he eventually pleads guilty or not. Like, there's still a lot to come with this.
Did you guys ever tune into SBF's live interviews on Twitter?
Oh yeah.
Like while this was going on?
It was too, I was just too annoyed by the whole thing, honestly.
Yeah. He just seems like he thinks I get the sense that he thinks he can talk his way out of all of this.
Big time.
Yeah. And the other thing that was so annoying is you could hear his mouse clicking. He was playing like League of Legends while he was doing these interviews, trying to defend himself, saying he didn't participate in fraud. It was just.
And what's so weird about his like media tour after all of this, which again, like no sane lawyer would ever advise, is the fact that he does come from this pedigree. They are well backed. His parents, Stanford professors, they have a war chest of FTX tokens they've converted into fiat that they're going to be able to pay legal fees with. And so they're like very smart how they're going to handle this. And yet they somehow allowed him to go on every single random ass podcast after like the biggest scandal of his life. I was like, this guy, everything he does is like juxtaposed at these like bipolar extremes in just really weird ways.
Yeah.
I mean, you just get this is why the conspiracy theories were so rampant, is you just sort of get the sense that he thinks he's going to get away with it. And then you have to start analyzing like, well, why would he be so sure he was going to get away with it? Oh, and his dad wrote Elizabeth Warren's tax policy, wrote the legislation. And it's like, the kid of two Stanford professors, like obviously he's going to get out, I actually think in the end, he's going to end up doing a lot of jail time, which makes me feel good because people who do fraud should go to jail for a long time. But there was like a week there where I was like, is this dude even going to get arrested?
Yeah, people throwing out that conspiracy like, oh, he's the second biggest donor to the Democratic Party, he's not going to get in trouble. It's like, dude, the fraud just got found out. Like, if you ever seen a movie where like the prosecutors spend months building cases, it's like, it's not like they can.
He's also the fourth largest donor to the Republican Party. He was greasing palms, which is what you got to do as a mega rich person. But what have you been reading, Pat? I mean, I know you read a lot. You put me to shame.
Right now, I'm slowly making my way. Got my book set up. Walter Isaacson's Benjamin Franklin.
Man loves American history.
That guy went on to play in the NFL too. Fun fact.
Yeah. No, this one's really good. I think Walter Isaacson. I mean, he's famous for this book, but his Steve Jobs book, I think everyone would recognize. It was like kind of the authorized biography of Steve Jobs that Walter Isaacson did. But this one's really fascinating. I like it. So if you're like entrepreneurial, you'll like the first third of this book. And then if you like American Revolutionary history, I'm starting to get into that section. So that gets interesting. It's kind of like the run up to, the growing tension between the colonies and Great Britain. So I'm enjoying that. And then I'd say like last year, one of my favorite books I read was The Most Important Thing by Howard Marks. Are you guys familiar with this guy?
Mm-mm.
So he runs this investment firm called Oak Tree. I think it's based here in LA. Yeah, Oak Tree Capital. And basically this guy, just the way he writes is he just breaks it down in a very simple way, and he doesn't use all this like crazy financial jargon. So anyone could, understand what he's saying.
What's the name of that one?
The most important thing. So
okay.
I'd say I got introduced to Howard Marks through his memos. He releases these memos to his clients, but they post them for the public to read. So if you guys want, like, just go check out his memos. I think I've tweeted out a couple, and just the way he just talks about financial, just investing in general, it's just like, it just makes sense when you're reading it, and he'll break it down like things in like the bullet points. So he's like, if this happens, then you should think about it this way. And then I just like the way he writes. And then he has this idea like called second level thinking. And it kind of reinforces my belief in, as like a non full-time investor, like there's so much information getting put out there. And so to believe that you can look at all this information, interpret it the correct way, and predict where prices and assets are going, it's just kind of I don't know, like it's almost impossible to do, and very few people can do it. And so yeah, just kind of reinforce at least my belief now is like, right now I'm just putting a certain amount of money into the S&P 500 on a weekly basis, and I just feel more comfortable doing that. And then maybe in my post NFL career I'll get into other types of investing, but right now I like that strategy. And so, but it's fun to like read the way he thinks about investing, because he's actually outperformed the market over the long term. So it's like it's hard to judge a guy just based on 1 year performance, but he's proven he's done it over the years. And yeah, I'm not really explaining it like that well.
No, I get it. He's explaining the time in the market over timing the market philosophy, basically.
Yeah, and he does mostly fixed income investing, like buying private debt. But yeah, his investment framework is like it works for any type of investments that you do.
Do you find yourself conflicted with this idea of like, I'd love to keep playing football as long as possible, but there's also so many things I would love to have freed up time to do, whether it be with this investing stuff or business ventures? I assume that's like a difficult thing to wrestle with in your head.
Yeah, I think I'm still just enjoying playing, like, so I think that's why I'm super down to just keep playing football.
Because that's not a thing most people are able to wrestle with. Like, people are like, I'll do this job until I don't want to do it anymore, and then I'll retire. But you as an athlete, you're like, I have a very finite time where my body is even capable of doing this.
Yeah, that's another part of it too, is like, if I stop playing for a year to like pursue some other passion, I'm not the caliber of player like Gronk where I can just pick up and a team will sign me back. They're like, oh, you haven't played in a year, like we're just going to sign someone else. So that's another part of it, is like taking advantage of the small time frame that I am going to be able to have the opportunity to play the game. Like going into my 5th year is just insane to me. Like the fact that I'm get a 5th opportunity to play professional football is just crazy. I think it's beyond what I think anyone, including myself, expected. So I'm going to take advantage of it, especially because I enjoy doing it. And like not being on the practice squad kind of sucked all year, because like playing on Sundays is what's the most fun, but still making plays in practice every once in a while on scout team was like, I still got that joy. So I'm still kind of like chasing that joy that I get from it. And then the other thing is like, I understand like all the long life after playing, and there's a lot of things like you said, Peter, like that I enjoy reading about and learning about and want to pursue and go into the business world and do these things. But the NFL kind of gives me opportunities to set myself up after the
you're making connections. Like there's lots of things you can do.
I get intros that I probably wouldn't have if I was doing got a job just straight out of college. So like I understand I'm fortunate in that aspect as well. So there's like a lot of different factors why continuing to play is an advantage, because it'll help set me up as long as I take advantage of those opportunities. Like it'll help set me up for what I try to do afterwards. And then I'm still doing like, I know I like my investment philosophy is like S&P 500, hold it long term, but I do other stuff like real estate and then like some private investments that I'm hoping to turn out But that's still like a smaller part of like my
What
overall.
about becoming an influencer? I think have you thought about just going all in?
No, because those people are all weird.
Did
Oh, I didn't
you
even-
have a drink though? That there was
Yeah,
something you were doing.
you've influenced a little bit.
I got like free supplements. That
What
was
about the dental thing?
Oh, that's just a deal through the NFL. Like anybody can do that. Invisalign.
Okay. So you're just giving away free influencing posts?
Which one? Which one?
Well, you got Invisalign for doing that.
I got Invisalign. And
Yeah, so
everybody in the
that's
NFL
not
can get Invisalign
That's
by
not free.
posting about it.
Yeah.
And then the supplement one was 2 off seasons ago. It was just a way to save money on supplements. And I enjoy those products. Like those are good products.
What is Patrick Laird's supplement stack like?
Yeah.
Right now, the brand I have no connection with this brand. Thorn. They have like high quality stuff, and they're all like NSF.
I like Thorn.
Yeah, most of it's like NSF certified, which we have to do or you don't have to do. Like if you want to be safe with NFL testing, you do NSF certified. But I just like whey protein, creatine. I started doing the DHA. Is that the
omega 3 DHA?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's about it, I think, right now. What should I be taking as the
take it the supplement advice for Davis.
Yeah, this is where I didn't want to go on the show, was me telling a professional athlete with like a 14 BMI what to be doing. I'm curious though, like there's a lot of really well researched like sleep stuff, like magnesium, apigenin, L-theanine.
I actually just got a whey protein. It's called like Recovery, so it's different than the other one. Like my big just classic whey protein supplement. Yeah. It's like this like Recovery. It's called Recovery Pro by Thorn, I think, and it has magnesium and stuff. Like you're basically supposed to take it as like a post dinner supplement meal.
Yeah.
Before bed, like 30 minutes, maybe 30 minutes to like an hour before bed.
It's so interesting. I was just gonna say it's fascinating to me that you don't like have your own like nutritionist or trainer. Like in my head, like a fantasy is like being able to have someone program all my workouts, program what I do, so I can just shut off my brain and like do it all. But you seem to like genuinely enjoy the process of like engineering it for yourself.
The team actually does have a dietitian, and they have like a whole like group that helps with all that stuff. So I've met with her, but they're just like a resource. So like you can I'll bounce questions off of her. I'll be like, hey, like if I just am eating this for dinner every night, is this like okay? Is that like fine? Is that like a healthy thing for me to do? Is this too much meat? Is this not enough? Whatever. So she's been really helpful with that sort of thing. But like she's also working with like 60 other guys, so it's like each guy kind of it depends.
She doesn't tailor Laird's diet for him.
She probably would if I asked. I'm super down to just not ask too much of the support staff and just be like, just pepper a couple questions here and there.
Classic good guy Pat.
There's more important people for her to worry about that.
Yeah, she's got to make sure no one gets fucking strawberries in Tom's food, dude. We can't have Tom inflating. I'm sort of curious in general if there is an appetite, because like there's this segment of the internet now of like young men 25 to 40, let's say, who are very much like me now, who are like, I do everything Andrew Huberman says, and I wonder what the overlap is there with NFL players or just professional athletes in general. Like, are these dudes already in such good shape that it doesn't matter? Or are also all these dudes into this crazy biohacking shit?
I'd say most guys are not into the crazy biohacking thing. I've actually had multiple teammates, Giovanni Bernard, one of them, just reference Huberman, and we'll just be like, oh yeah, like I follow him too, and we'll just have conversations about the different things that he shared. So he's definitely becoming a bigger and bigger influence.
This man could be president in 2024 if he wanted to. He's got like Something about him. He just gets people.
Isn't it crazy how much, like, going back to like the influencer thing, and like a lot of people wouldn't necessarily think of Huberman as an influencer, but he very much is.
I would say he's literally the biggest influencer in the United States right now.
But I think influencer is used a little bit as a pejorative, as opposed to like what it literally means, your ability to influence people. I think when you hear influencer, you're like, oh, you're just trying to show me some shitty product so you make money.
Yeah, you're trying to sell me detox tea.
Yeah. But man, like and then you look at a guy like Mr. Beast, who can command more eyeballs on a video than like any, major network can, like right now. And just like how much things have changed in favor of these creators with their own platforms. It's nuts.
Yeah. Yeah. When I made that comment about all influencers being weird, it was more the ones that like want us to just watch their lives, and like they make money off of us just like following their every.
Yeah.
Like,
you're in California, so you get to see those people. I mean, you can't go to the beach or get a cup of coffee without seeing someone like being on Instagram Live.
Just filming a TikTok and dancing.
Can't do it.
Yeah. For whatever reason, there's like a certain level of like, you have to respect it in some of them, just like a certain level of confidence to just post like every day about like your life. And like I couldn't do that personally, because I just don't think people would care that much. And like, I don't even know if I have enough stuff going on to do that. I do enjoy sharing like some stuff I'm thinking about or stuff I'm reading about. Like I would like to share more of that sort of thing, maybe share more writing, or kind of develop more ideas. You just share that sort of stuff, like more like the intellectual side of things. That I actually there's a beat writer for the Bucs, and I didn't get interviewed once all year. But there was one thing he came up to me. He's like, you tweet differently than most people. Like the stuff you tweet about is different. And I was like, I like that. That's like the thing that he noticed about my Twitter feed.
Peter and I probably know every Bucs beat writer. Which one was it?
Greg Amman.
Greg.
Yeah, Greg Amman. Yeah.
You were never teammates with him, but we loved Ronald Jones, who did not overlap with you there, but we developed a real relationship with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers beat writers, asking them about Ronald Jones.
Oh, really?
Did you see the tie into that you might have seen floating around on our Twitters, Pat, is our friend Pat Carrain. He loved Ronald Jones more than anyone. He's a fantasy analyst, our friend. I do ship chasing with him. He won Underdog's major best ball tournament and won $2 million at the end of the season for finishing first place in their big tournament. So it all comes full circle, all back to Rojo.
It does. And we're not jealous or envious of him in any way. And it hasn't been weird or like off-putting to know that our friend is like that much more successful than us. Like it's fine, it's totally cool.
Did Rojo get, has he been playing for the Chiefs at all?
He got a carry. He got a carry in the first quarter against the Bengals.
Okay. I remember we played against him at USC, and I think he went off against us.
Well, he was a great player.
Basically,
at USC.
If the same thing that happened to the Chiefs wide receivers happened to the Chiefs running backs, Rojo would have been on Wheaties boxes after that game.
Yeah. Correct.
What have you been thinking about the playoffs? Do you have any storylines, teams you've been sweating, games you've really enjoyed? Do you watch them all, or are you kind of like zoned out a bit?
I don't think I've missed a playoff game. I might have. I think I fell asleep at the end of the Niners-Eagles game.
Who didn't?
Fair.
But but my excuse is I usually don't fall asleep during football games. But it was a long weekend. The proposal, we were out late after that, and we drove back down to LA. So I was kind of tired, and then kind of woke up for the Chiefs Bengals game.
Say something about how Patrick Mahomes is the greatest warrior of all time, and that
warrior. I don't know how bad his ankle injury was. I mean, what else can you say about Patrick Mahomes that everyone else? He's incredible.
No, I do have a thing to throw at you. There is this the officiating, right? People are so there's two factions, right? So there's the game is rigged, the NFL wants the Chiefs in, yada yada, which is obviously insane, right?
Yeah.
And then there's the other people who are like, I can't believe we gamble our US dollars on this when these referees are not rigging it. They just have no idea what's going on. And my answer is always, refereeing just seems like it would be very hard. It seems like it would be incredible, like a really, really hard job. And someone made this point the other day using an NBA example, because apparently one of Kobe Bryant's old teammates, Smush Parker, is trying to become an NBA referee now. And apparently, apparently only like 3 guys ever have made the transition from playing in the NBA to refereeing in the NBA, because it's a hard job. It's hard to figure out. It's not an easy skill to learn. So I wanted you in a way that's not going to get you fined to talk about NFL officiating.
Yeah. So I guess we're like an hour and a half in. So I'm gonna spill the beans on the whole NFL.
It's all rigged.
Yeah. So this is what happens. So Saturday night before the games, the teams meet together at a hotel at a secret location, and that's where the NFL comes in and hands out
your script.
That's where you get your script, and then they go through, page by page, quarter by quarter, play by play. This guy is supposed to miss this tackle. This guy is supposed to commit a penalty here. This is when they bring the refs come in about halfway through the meeting. They kind of have to bring them in the back of the hotel, kind of in hoods and hats.
Sure. Real cloak and dagger type stuff.
The refs are there, and that's when they explain the bad calls that they're going to make. And then we find out the final score. So that's how it is. And I think Vegas calls in. And Vegas says they want it to be this spread, and they have some input on that too. So
sure,
that's how it works. Saturday before every game. Obviously, if it's a Monday night game, we're going to meet on Sunday night at the hotel with the other team. Okay. Go through all that stuff.
I feel like it's probably hard for everyone for a Thursday night game. You got to get that information done. The script writers work overtime.
That's where we all meet over Zoom. Yeah, just because of the short timeline, you gotta meet over Zoom, and those are obviously very secret meetings, and only guys playing in the game are allowed. So,
and this is why your buddy Mike Evans famously signed the autograph for that referee after that game this season, right? It was just kind of part of your guys' bigger agreement.
I saw that. Okay, hold on, wait. Let me go back and correct. Okay, so that was just obviously a joke on the last thing. I don't want to lose my job.
Patrick's lawyers. He was joking.
I was going to clip that and say NFL player reveals that the NFL is rigged. I don't know what the Mike Evans, like. First of all, Mike Evans is probably the nicest guy I've ever met, but I don't know what I saw that video. I don't think he signed anything for the ref. Did he?
This is
it was like the ref just like turned to like.
It was Mike Evans. I'm pretty sure the ref then asked him for the autograph here.
Incredible stuff.
Here it is. You're gonna have to have a talking.
Yeah, I doubt he's actually. I think it's something else. Like there's like, and this is gonna sound super big because I'm like, it looks like I'm trying to cover, but I remember reading like a comment or someone saying like, oh no, he's like confirming because he's like a captain and he like confirmed like
signing your golf round after the.
I don't know what that was, to be honest. So I'm not even gonna speculate. Cool story about Mike Evans, just to show how generous he is, and then we'll get back to the reffing. The dude bought the whole team Segway scooters. He bought like 100 of them. So then
even the practice squad.
Even practice squad. We just show up.
That had to be a pricey gift. 100
yeah, it was like everybody on the team. So you show up in the morning and you had a Segway scooter in front of your locker, and these things go like 40 miles an hour. And then I heard that he had bought like, an extra 40 for anyone on the staff that wanted one. He's just like,
what a mensch.
And he donates so much money to charity. So like Mike Evans is like hands down one of the coolest, most generous, nicest teammates I've ever had. In terms of the refs and like, my opinion is I just think it's a super hard job. Like, and like players make mistakes all the time. Coaches make bad calls all the time. Like, a ref is going to make a mistake all the time. And it's going to seem like it was leaning one way or the other, but the amount of the riskiness of the NFL to like put their hands into the games and like decide things or like having an influence with the refs, like it would have gotten out by now. You know what I mean? Like there would have been a whistleblower.
It's one of the most illogical ideas I've ever heard.
The risk reward is just ridiculous. Once you ruin the integrity of the game, the viewership is just gonna people are gonna hate it.
Imagine
the game is one of the most important things for the NFL. Like they talk about it all the time.
Like, imagine if an email came out of like Roger Goodell sending Carl Cheffers an email being like, hey, you don't have to rig it or anything, but just kind of make sure the Chiefs get the benefit of the whistle tonight. It's like we're talking like a multi-billion-dollar bag fumble.
Yeah, it just
don't you guys think too, just like the whole culture of conspiracies, like as an example, like 10 years ago, do you think the DeMar Hamlin clone thing could ever catch any traction as an actual conspiracy outside of a few 4chan message boards?
The internet has ruined everyone's brains to like.
Is that real? Is that a real?
You didn't see that?
No.
That was like a legit talking point to the point DeMar Hamlin had to record a video to debunk it.
People were asking Josh Allen if they thought if DeMar Hamlin was really dead or alive.
Really?
Like,
yes.
Yeah, like this is like full mainstream conspiracy theory that is just, it really makes you scared for how like people's brains work now. And I don't even, Davis, like, I do think obviously the internet's a big part of it, but it's more than that too. It's like a general culture of, I don't know, like disbelief. And
I mean, if you wanted to be a boomer, you could be like, well, it's like participation trophy culture where it's like you didn't lose a bet because you were wrong. You lost a bet because it was like rigged against you or whatever. I more just think that we have come to be so distrusting of all centralized figures, newspapers, governments, whatever. And so the official, there's room for the official story on anything in any aspect to be questioned. But maybe more importantly, any viewpoint you have, you now can find support for that on the internet. Like if you believe the most crazy batshit thing, you can like get on Reddit and find a group of like 15,000 other people who also believe the same crazy batshit thing you believe, and everyone else is wrong, and the official story lied because of X, Y, and Z, and lizard people, basically.
Yeah. Well, maybe it didn't go fully mainstream if Pat had not heard about the DeMar Hamlin. You are on a good corner of the internet.
Yeah, Pat is a wholesome man compared to us, I think.
Oh,
I deleted the Twitter app. I still go on because I like to participate a little bit, but now I have to like sign on my computer or like go on the browser app on my phone to like tweet out stuff. So that's probably been the advantage of I don't get to see all the conspiracies by deleting the Twitter app.
That is a huge life edge, honestly. I can't imagine how much happier I'd be daily if I even if I had to get on Twitter on the desktop. I can't imagine how much happier I'd be.
Yeah, but it's just like by the nature of your guys' job, I imagine it's important to be a participator in that, right?
That's what you tell yourself.
Like you don't have to partake in it, but you see the chatter, and that's what was crazy about it is like there is like dark web type conspiracies, but for that one to like go mainstream and to see it in so many places was just concerning.
Like Buffalo Sports Talk Radio is like has Josh Allen on the week after he loses probably the most painful game, probably second most painful game of his life, and they're like, so DeMar Hamlin was in the locker room, but are you sure it was him? And it's like that's crazy to ask. It
was a legit journalist asked him that question.
Oh,
like Sports Talk Radio, but legit journalists. It's not like this wasn't like a New York Times reporter or whatever, but not like a tinfoil hat Reddit person asking him.
Yeah, that's crazy for like a actual like person that has a job at a radio station to ask.
Yeah. So yeah I don't know. It's a sad state of affairs.
Do we want to answer some Twitter questions, or you guys got time, or you want to wrap up?
I got a couple more minutes. What was the most interesting question you got that you would like to answer? How about Adam's real quick? Adam wanted to know. Adam Levitin, can you discuss?
Lonely in Pennsylvania. Adam wants to know why would you spend?
Man in Honda Pilot recording videos on why Rachaad White's a trade target wants to know. Can you discuss why the NFL player would hang out with two stone cold virgins? Thank you.
What's the old expression? Takes one to know one.
Oh,
takes one to know one, Adam.
I mean, Peter at least can prove that that's not true at least once because he does have a biological daughter.
Yeah. And we shouldn't shame virgins.
It's true.
Takes all time.
Adam, I guess these guys are just my friends. I don't know. They're cool dudes. Why would I not want to hang out with them? Let's see. We covered the proposal story.
Chess Liam has a good one here. I actually want to know your answer to this. If we did Oklahoma drills, me and Peter did Oklahoma drills against you, how many times out of 100 do you think Peter could tackle you? And how many times do you think I could tackle you?
Do I have a blocker? Like, is it like 3-on-3?
No, dude,
Oklahoma,
this is-
2-on? It's
No,
just
this
is-
one-on-one
this is-
tackling.
This is
Yeah.
good old-fashioned Oklahoma.
If it's one-on-one tackling out of 100,
Honestly, I bet Peter could wrap you up pretty good. I want to say he could get you 25 times.
I don't know about that. That seems like a lot.
You are a lot bigger than him.
I'd say it's more about like the shifting, like the lateral reaction. Maybe like 10.
That sounds about right.
I could only get you if I guessed right. Like if I
Like the goalkeeper, soccer goalkeeper.
Yes, like a penalty shootout, and I went low because obviously you're way stronger than me. But there's
Do I have
so
to
much.
run you guys over, or can I like do? I guess
You could do it either. You could do either or.
It's just
Dealer's
multiple ways
choice.
to set it up. Like if there's a blocker and you guys had to like navigate a guy in front of me blocking.
Oh, no chance.
I think that would.
Oh no,
lesson.
that's game over.
Yeah,
Game
I've got no nose for the ball. That would not end well for me.
I want to say 0, but I'm gonna give you guys 10 each.
Wow, 10 each.
I mean,
Is it? Hold on, is it like successive? Like are we going 100 in a row? Because I might be in better. I might have.
yeah,
better
I was gonna
targets.
say 10. Yeah. If
Like, if
we're
you don't
doing
get me once in like the first 20, like you might not get me once for the next 80. You know what I mean?
correct,
Like,
correct. I say we optimize, and this is we're doing this like a thought experiment. Like we're both at full. Our stamina bars are at 100 for the whole thing.
The other thing about it, Davis, too, is even if you account for stamina bars at 100, like I'm probably getting hurt in one of those first 20 tackles, like as well, like not doing a form-fitting tackle.
Yeah, that would help me out if you guys got hurt.
All right,
Yeah.
what other questions? Couple more.
Have you guys won any money in DK this season? Have you been profitable?
No, both of
I
us
was.
are no. Oh, Peter, at the end, I forgot you won 5,000, right?
Yeah, it saved my year, but yes, I love this.
That's DraftKings, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
So
Underdog.
what are the numbers on this? Like how much money you putting in, how much money you getting out? Are you sharing? Do you share that stuff or no?
No, I mean, I actually just looked at, I had like 130,000 in play and returned 135,000. So I made 5,000 this year on DraftKings after
I'm
turning it over.
I'm gonna guess just based off of my crowns, which is basically like frequent flyer miles for DraftKings. I'm gonna guess I got about 140 in play and returned like 129-ish because I know I haven't had to deposit all year, but that's napkin math. So we lost a couple thousand, but it was the real profit was the friends we made along the way.
Yeah.
We did.
Are you
make a lot
guys
of friends.
putting money into your like a IRA or anything, or is it all going to DraftKings?
Oh, come on, you think I don't have an Edward Jones guy, man? Come on.
Are you guys one of those? Are you guys people that put it in like first? So like this year is January 3rd. You could put the deposit for your IRA in.
I do it when I think about it. I do it a couple times a year just when I think about it.
Okay.
Generally after a good streak of gambling, my guy will get a call.
IRA.
Yeah.
All right. You guys have to translate this one. Is all that matters week 17, or is Pete a false flag op for big underdog?
Well, considering he's
question.
referencing best ball strategy, and actually this hits close to home for you as well. So this whole idea, the last week of the best ball tournaments, that's when all the money was won. And so if you had the really good team, you could advance all the way to week 17, compete against 470 teams, but then you have to get first place that week. So our buddy Pat, who won, he had a Tom Brady stack that had Chris Godwin with DJ Moore opposite in that game, who also went off. And that core going off, he actually didn't have Mike Evans, which is insane because Mike Evans had the massive game. But him stacking up that game.
Week, by the way.
You did? You played
Mike? With him. I stuck with my guy.
Wow. Oh yeah. So anyways, long story short, he won because of week 17.
Yeah, we need to hear about your fantasy team now.
Yeah, let's hear about yours.
I got third place in my fantasy league, and I don't remember who's on my team. I think I had Herbert at quarterback. I think I had Mixon at running back. I think I sent you guys it, but like, I didn't do like any trades. I just stuck with that team all year, and I ended up, doing pretty solid when you guys laughed at me.
Once you were done getting advice from us, you finally started being good at fantasy football. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, he just via osmosis, he just follows us on Twitter, so he gets the good stuff.
No, basically, whatever the experts tell you, it's all a shill. They're all just trying to sell you. They're really selling you content. They're not selling you good information.
Everyone's just trying to sell you their own version of detox tea. Everyone you meet in life is trying to shill you their own version of that. It'll make you feel better, but who knows if it really works.
Yeah. We did some good Tampa stories.
What city you like living in better, Tampa or Miami?
I never actually lived in Miami proper, so I'm gonna go Tampa. I actually lived in the city of Tampa. I was about like 10 minutes from downtown. I was pretty close to the facility, which is actually like right next to the stadium. I actually walked. I went to a game I went to a Thursday night game with some of my best friends from high school and my now fiance, and we walked from the stadium back to my apartment. So that's how close I am to everything. So I'd say Tampa is just like in general an easier place to get around, to go shop, and yeah, I've enjoyed Tampa so far. Favorite spots in Tampa, I wrote these down. Hyde Park, I like to go to. For the people that know Tampa, they've heard of Hyde Park. Armature Works is this cool food court, it's like this old industrial building, I think, like manufacturing building that got converted into like this cool food court area. And then taking the water taxi along like the river to Sparkman Wharf is a cool thing to do.
Sounds pretty good.
Love it.
Yeah.
Florida gets a bad rap, I think.
Yeah, I think so too. I think it does. It's not.
Are you going to spend
the people, but most of the people are just normal people. Like
Do
all.
you think you're
across
going to spend your whole off season in Manhattan Beach and slow?
Yeah, I think so. I'll be bouncing around California and then head back to Tampa in like April. I have some trips. Like I'll go back to. I have a trip out to Florida actually, to Miami, and the director of player engagement of Miami when I was there, he's hosting this thing for current NFL guys to like network and learn about business and real estate. So I'm participating in that. So I'll be going back to Florida a little bit, but most of the time I'll be in California.
Do you keep up with any of your Miami bros?
Yeah.
Crazy season for them.
You guys want to get? There's 3 guys I talk to the most. You guys want to guess them? I think you know all 3 of them.
Myles Gaskin.
Yep. We talked about I think the other 2 on here.
Does Ryan Fitzpatrick count?
No, younger guys that I've talked to Fitz. I talked to Fitz. When did I talk to him last? I sent him a text, but it's been a while.
Durham Smythe.
No, but I like that guy. He's cool.
He's partying in.
He balled out this year
with Gesicki right now.
Yes, he did. Alec Ingold.
Didn't play with him.
Oh, I actually have a question. Do fullbacks get to come to the running back meeting, or does the fullback have his own meeting by himself? Is it just him? Is it just him and the quarterbacks? Like, what does a fullback do? Because there's only one of them.
It depends on the team. But most of the teams I played with, they've actually gone with the tight ends.
Tight ends. Yeah, that's what I thought.
But I don't know.
Shout out Kokeeft.
Yeah. Cookie's my guy. He's my neighbor too.
Wow, that's cool. Okay.
We became like good buddies this past year. I really like that guy.
Okay. Myles Gaskin.
Are you friends with Savon Ahmed?
Savon Ahmed, yep.
Okay.
And one more is not with Miami, and he's a big personality. And he went off this year. I think he's like a favorite. Maybe our wide receiver 2 with the Raiders this year.
Matt Collins?
Matt Collins, that's my guy.
Wow, he did. I remember the thing I remember this about Matt Collins is his partner, when we came to come meet you in New York, was wearing a sequined hat with his number on it. When we and I just remember thinking, like, what an interesting way.
I thought that was someone else.
It might have been, and maybe it wasn't Matt Collins. Maybe it was another one of the wide receivers, but I just have a very clear memory of that. Matt Collins. Okay. He did go off this year. Career year for Matt Collins.
Yeah, I think he's about to get paid. Yeah, so I keep in touch with those guys. I keep in touch with a few other guys I played with there, and
nice. Yeah,
it's like during the season everyone's kind of busy, but we'll shoot each other texts, and then I got a group chat with those 3 dudes, and hopefully get together with them. We just all 3 of us like to train together a lot, so we became pretty close doing that.
Yeah.
How much can Myles Gaskin deadlift?
Probably a lot. He's extremely strong.
I was gonna say like that sounds like a dude who could beat clear 500 like easy.
Oh yeah, for sure. He could probably do like, if I had to guess, he'd probably be doing over 600.
That is so. People don't even know how gnarly that is. That's insane.
Like trap, and most guys in the NFL do trap bar deadlift. So even with trap bar, you can do way more too.
Yeah.
How many bench reps 225 can you do right now?
Me, probably like 5.
I was gonna give you 11.
You're not saying I can bench more than you, Patrick.
I got this messed up shoulder.
He's an NFL running back. You know how many times this guy's been tackled in his life, bro?
Bench press doesn't matter.
Well, he's going to be tackled 20 times when we do Oklahoma drills together.
Yeah.
I need to start. I got to start training for that, I guess.
Yeah.
Well, Patrick, it was. I'm so glad we were able to do this. We need to do this again soon and not let as much time pass.
Yeah, this was fun. Hopefully, people make it this far. They get all the good deets.
Yeah, they're gonna find out about how the script is written.
That's right.
Yeah,
any other final things you want to launch your influencer career? You've already plugged Mofo. You plugged your Apple Watch. You plugged these books. I mean, you're a true influencer now.
I got another Tampa story that I wrote down.
Okay, we're gonna walk off Tampa story.
This might be a lame story to end with, but it just
we
were doing a walkthrough, and I was sent. So when the offense does walkthrough, the practice squad guys or the second, third string guys will be like the scout team look. So you wear like a beanie or something. And I was supposed to come on this blitz, and I'm about to come off the edge, and like we run the play, and then I'm walking back, and all of a sudden I get this like sting in my ear, and I like rip off like this hat that we had to wear to like show that you're on like the scout team, and a bee was in my hand, and it just stung me, and it was like the worst feeling in the world. My ear started to swell up, and this is right before practice. And Julio Jones comes over and saves the day. And Julio Jones comes up and grabs the stinger out of my ear, and he like showed me. He's like, "Look, bro, this is what was in your ear." So another guy I wanted to share a story about Julio Jones.
Was Julio just like randomly around? Did he like understand what was going on?
He was on offense, like so he was running a play, and he was coming back from running his route.
It saw you like in pain.
Like I had this ear, like this bee, and I was like freaking out and like hurt. And he came and like grabbed the stinger out of my ear. And that's another dude like Mike Evans, just like total class, super nice dude.
That is a gnarly story. Julio Jones
saved
Pat's
grabbed a bee stinger or whatever out of my ear. And I thought that was pretty funny.
Why now I like picture Tampa Bay practice just like, I don't know, like a kids camp. You guys running around asking each other trivia questions, pulling bees out of each other's ears. I mean, it sounds like a very wholesome environment, Patrick.
It's very wholesome. But I'd like to stress when we're in practice and meetings, everybody's focused. The questions and all the fun stuff happens outside of the time to work. I don't want to stress that we don't.
There's a time to work and there's a time to play when you're a Tampa Bay Buccaneer.
Yes.
Yeah, you are a Tampa Bay coach. If you are on the staff, I just want you to know that Patrick, behind closed doors, told us how much he loves playing for the organization, how hard he works, how great everyone is. I just want to make sure that's clear for you, Patrick.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. I said that in private, not thinking you would share how much I love the team and all the coaches and all the guys I play with. But it's nice that you said that.
And Davis, any final words for you here?
Nope, everyone. I hope you made it an hour and 53 minutes into 3 nerds, and one of them happens to play professional football.
That's right. Pat might be the biggest nerd of all of us, which is what makes it so incredible that you're also the NFL player of all of us. Tough scene for Davis and I.
Incredibly tough.
Our cooler friends play in the NFL and win $2 million, and we're just here slumming it.
It's hard for me to make friends, so I appreciate you guys these past, 4 years now? So,
yeah. Just know
how
that
lucky are we?
If Davis and I were there, I mean, we totally would have been pulling that bee sting out of your ear too for you, man. I just want you to know.
I would have not hesitated, man. Right in.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Thank you for tuning in. Appreciate you all. Check out Patrick Laird on the Instagrams for those engagement photos. Check out the Take Cast. Subscribe to the channel. Yada yada. We'll see you guys next time. Peace.
Peace.